The colors of love. 1. An odd creature, invisible but manifested. A ghost in daylight when you probe the chambers of your heart, or wind in your hair while driving on a country back road after a summer evening spent embracing. As undefinable as either, yet like art or truth, we each know it when we see it. 2. 100 couples simultaneously sitting alone on a single black sand beach as the sun goes in search of new horizons. 3. Passion and anger, a coin toss. Lipstick transferred like a fingerprint. Mouths swollen from an unending kiss, finished before its time. Or a cheek stung by a careless syllable that can never be recalled or erased. 4. Spring grass revitalized by longer days. Summer leaves turning as children grow, becoming memories gathered for burning as the nights grow cold and endless. 5. The tears you fight to control, their inevitable wet heat a snail's path meandering on your cheek, are crystal clear southern island bays, letting the world see your life's bottom. 6. Each day is an education, a revelation. Your life is an unopened sketchbook, and by the time you master one medium, you're working in another. No more familiar than that first thick crayon in your hand when you struggled, tongue between teeth, to make a valentine for the girl you liked, the one you were too shy to talk to but couldn't stop talking about. 7. I am alone tonight. Even the moon and stars are extinguished. The absence of all love's nameable colors has a name all its own. Sur le Pont d'Avignon. We danced under parking lot lights. It seemed the place. It seemed the moment to hold each other in a two-step, to whisper as our lips brushed of our love. This is how we lived, dancing without invitation or warning at a local food store grand opening. It's what we felt like. You wore a poodle skirt, peasant blouse, Mary Jane's. I wore Bermudas, t-shirt, boat shoes. We wore our love like night lights on our sleeves. This is how we lived. People smiled, people clapped. Some seemed embarrassed, none joined in. Brief weeks later, you were gone. It's never not the place, not the moment. Monica's new baby. Monica sits in her chair in the day room, new baby cradled in her arms. She smiles down on him, wonders what he sees as he looks past her to the locked doors. He seems so intent, so completely unaware that his doll's hand reaches blindly for her breast. Monica is quite aware. She's also aware that she's forgotten things. The pain would be eased if she could remember, or could forget the forgetting. Where did this child with the porcelain smooth skin come from? She can't recall his birth, carrying him in her belly or the man who placed him there. The nurse simply brought him to her, simply said she thought Monica might need someone to love. Monica thinks so too. She also thinks it odd that he won't suckle, doesn't laugh or cry, baby sneeze or burble. At random moments, this truly worries her. And she worries at what she seems to remember beneath the forgetting. Was there a man who crouched to hold her as she huddled in a corner of a room, stroked her hair until the other men came for her? Was there a baby before this? A girl who cried so fiercely the storm of noise drove unexpected demons from Monica's head, down her arms to her fingers, until the tempest ceased. Monica's thoughts drift away on motes of dust in the afternoon sunlight through the barred windows. Part of her stays in touch with the baby, keeps it safely held against her aching breast and breaking heart. When she awakes to the sunset, she'll have forgotten remembering for a while. Will sit content in the light of this new child's ceaseless smile and unblinking love. Finding truth. When you're working in the field and you want to know if what your brush just uncovered after days or years of patience is really fossilized bone, touch it to your tongue. If it sticks as its pores absorb your moisture, you can be sure it's truly what you seek. I don't recall when I learned it, this piece of trivial trivia, but it applies as well to a lover's name. Shelter. 1. She dreams about her husband in some deep night place where golden memories must take her. Might sadden, but can't really hurt. They live in pioneer style. Simple house, animals and children mixing in the yard, crops sufficient to their needs, and so much love's struggles are eclipsed. He sings to her now, in death as in life. At every opportunity, his voice echoes. Even friends who don't believe in heaven would testify that's where his music comes from. 2. Their man-child wanders the house, minstrel singing his own doggerel in the French she taught while sitting at the kitchen table, paring potatoes, cutting garden-picked tomatoes, chopping lettuce from the next row of turned earth over. The garden she tends still grows. The harvest won't be done for years, long after she leaves this place to grandchildren not yet fully conceived. She sees her husband in their son, sees the future she now shapes alone, and thinks the world might be saved. 3. Spring is here. Red wings sing new dawns. The April sun takes the snow away, softens the aches in early 50s bones. Time to do a little cleaning in the car. Tucked between the seats, not yet faded with too many years, a simple note that takes her by surprise and makes her entire being smile. I'd go through all the shit again if it still led me to you. She reads it twice, holds it close before the tears fall. Seduce and Destroy. The gates to memory of her lead inward. Once past the cast-iron gargoyles, the soul mourner, chasing their coffin, has no chance of painless escape. The landscape twists and turns. The loose gravel path tries to follow, but loses its way in brambles disguised as happy places. Even the porcelain gravestone portrait of their better times is a waiting trap, showing her in stern, high neckline with the heavy weight of a heavy torque. Turning his head at her voice, he only sees her breasts, the valley that separates them as surely as she has set herself apart from him. Sleeping in the deepest veil of dreams, just when he thinks he's exited, a snake crawls about his bleached skull, encircling jaw, examining sockets. There are statues at the tree line. Him on his knees, she tall above him. Both search the night with candelabras. She is armored with studded diamonds. Mother and child. When you were 1, we spent the day at Disneyland. Your mother, my uncle, and I took turns watching you in your stroller from ride to ride. That night in your crib, you gazed wide-eyed for an hour, digesting, I guess, what you'd seen, and then smiled sweetly in your sleep. You won't remember, but we speak of it still. It's early in the 5th decade since that day. Your son is back from his war just as I was from mine. His gaze across the dinner table is hooded, distant. I hope when he's a father he'll dream of wondrous times, and fear when he's a grandfather he'll scratch at hidden scars and remember his bodies at the end of the day. The camps. Up past Barstow and behind barbed wire, to the mud and frozen mud. If they would talk to you, if they would hear your question, they would no doubt answer only this. Grandson, tired of the waiting and the stillness without toys, resting on his mother's father's back. Good grandfather, you are tired of the waiting and the stillness without peace. Young girls, I see your picture. 8 or 9 years old, the future yellow evil to be beaten by internment up past Barstow while your brothers help reconquer Europe. This is a progression. It is in a photo on another page. At this point is the schoolroom and the pledge to a flag you know you can't hold. Your separate faces, smiling on the left, and pausing, uncertain in frightened sadness, on the right. Arbor and Winepress, after a landscape by Fra Bartolomeo. This is where you brought me when we wed. I, 15, and not yet quick with child, though filled with longings passed down by my mother and her own. You, 18, and poorly educated to a life not set before you in the halls your father brought the tutors to. The copse of trees is thinner now, as is my life these years alone. The room in back, where we first took each other with an innocent savagery bordering rape, is mine alone, a shrine holding memories that end with you. At the gate, our oldest son and his son, a Tom that came to clear the mice and stayed when they were done, a wine press calling forth the joy of life. The mist grape is as fruitless as imagined lives without this place. 4 Asian still lives. 1. Flying the first wave in at dawn, we crossed the tree line and began to take fire, and I, standing at the machine gun, closed my eyes and swung the barrel, praying blindly for some resolution. 2. At Fubai to pick up ammunition, I'm wrapped in cartridges and flak vest, riding in a jeep with some lieutenant who'll be here driving generals when I'm in Hong Kong getting drunk. 3. Some Marine bled to death on the flight deck today. They flew 6 casualties in at one time, and all they could see to do for him was have the chaplain give last rites. 4. I was going to write before and tell you all about the color of the sea here, but we took fire from the beach, so there really wasn't time. The sun is setting now. It's the color of the sea. Enemy alien. There are no other men here. Only women and children, and I'm not welcome. Looking at me, an old man seeking a simple favor, their eyes are, at best, cautious, at most, fearful. I understand. I'm a father. I am the enemy incarnate. A woman with 2 small daughters edges past me. Her hands protect her worldly treasures. Even on her dark skin the bruises show, and her rich island accent further betrays her thoughts. An autumn sunset turns the sky. The girls look away. Rouen, 30 May, 1431. Joan is so terribly tired. She's been at war too long, been hearing God-sent voices guide her future even longer. Her countrymen have turned away, for now no longer needing her. The English, less trusting of God, want her removed from the scales. The charge is heresy, so death by fire. There will be no strangulation, no relative mercy from the executioner. She has no money for friends' sachets. Joan longs to weep upon the stake like an exhausted lover mourning the loss of innocence, but stands tall. She won't add self-treason to the charge. Rising from the smoke of obscurity, she will fall, obscured by smoke. Once entered by the fiery light of saints, she will make her exit in the light of fire. And to circle back to the beginning, the color of your voice. Sunday afternoon in bed, your Sacagawea teaches my Clark how to explore unknown lands. Speaking not in whispers, but softly, you tell me of your childhood, the games you played in the fields, the gods you worshipped each day. I hear the pinks and purples of sunrise at a new riverbank. My friends, thank you very much.